when we look at the operation, we can see that this operation was a delayed and overdue operation because most of the debates in Turkey and most of the leaks about the security establishment in Turkey signaled that there may be an operation in November 2015 towards Jarablus and that area actually. It wasn't only Jarablus. And the primary concern was again ISIS and YPG, but these were the days that the refugee crisis were its height. So international dimension of it, international support for it was coming from mostly as a result of the refugee crisis and to create a safe zone, whatever, you know, at that time it was ISIS free zone because the zone's name constantly changing. So it was no-fly zone, safe zone. At that time it was ISIS free zone in order to clear the region from the ISIS, especially the border area of Turkey from ISIS. Of course, since then there are serious terrorist attacks in Turkey. And one of the most significant one was actually because of the coup, we stopped discussing that, you know, like after a while, but the most significant one was probably the Istanbul attack. The Ankara attacks of PKK and the Istanbul attack, especially the airport attack of ISIS, pushed Turkey to do something more significant in terms of clearing the region, especially from ISIS. So the Gaziantep attack probably be the trigger. There was already some concerns about Kilis, the security of Kilis. Last year, actually, when we were in Kilis with my colleague, we see how the Katyusha rockets created major concern among the society, and the insecurity that it created resulted in some serious debate about what Turkey should do in terms of an operation. But of course, all of these were stalled with the Russian plane crisis that started in November 2015. And now, after the agreement with Russia or rapprochement with Russia, the first, probably the triggering effect, if we try to answer why now, was probably the ISIS, Gaziantep attack and Istanbul attack. The secondly, the unwillingness, of course, at this point, YPG to leave Manbij, because from the reports we understand that there are some significant at that point there was an agreement, a pseudo agreement between Turkey and US that YPG will leave after the Manbij operation, which turned out to be not true. And after the establishment of Manbij Military Council, actually, when YPG established Jarablus Military Council, it was a signal, it was a red flag for Turkey. So a second reason was this. A third reason, of course, the refugee crisis again. It is, it may not be in the agenda of international community anymore, especially in Europe, but this crisis is still taking place. And especially with the increasing attacks and clashes in Aleppo, there is a real danger that there may be another wave of, a serious wave of refugees coming from Syria to Turkey. And partly, you know, like we can only speculate that, but probably after the July 15 coup, the change in the military leadership, especially the military leadership in the Second Army and some within the special forces may play an important role. We can only speculate about this at this point. So what happened, the operation started in a very short period of time, actually. Turkey, the first goal of Turkey was to clear the area, especially the border area from ISIS. So now from El Rai to Jarablus, the area is cleared, and but the depth of the area is not sufficient at this point. So far, the depth is around 20 kilometers. And the 20 kilometers is, at this point, considered not sufficient. However, the operation, it started really fast, but now slowed down because of some necessities and some risks that emerge, actually. We see that there is a very serious risk of anti-tank missiles to Turkish forces, because Turkey entered, the Turkish incursion was not through special forces, but with armored units as well. So there were, at the beginning it was 10 tanks, but then it increased. Now around 25 to 30 tanks are in northern Syria, that part. The second problem was a little bit resolved, the improvised explosive device issue. that was a little resolved because they are not using the regular roads, but there are still serious concern about the landmines. With the couple attacks of ISIS to Jarablus, FSA units in Jarablus, we started to see that there may be serious concern about the suicide attacks of ISIS. Because what we see in multiple different instances, and we see this in Kobani as well, the moment that ISIS lost a territory, they go back to their default settings and started to organize more conventional terrorist attacks in those areas. So this is a serious concern for the security of Turkish forces and the FSA forces. Because of that, now 20 kilometers is kind of be kept, but the next step is a big question mark. So what are the possible outcomes? The repopulation of Jarablus and surrounding towns and villages are especially important because immediately after the liberation of Jarablus, people in Turkey, especially from Karakamış and from the refugee camps in Nizip, the south of Gaziantep, people started to move to Jarablus, and early reports showed that the population of Jarablus increased from 3,500 to more than 10,000 right now, and the passages from the Turkish border to Jarablus is increasing, and Turkish government is also supporting that. Turkish government in a couple of days provided water, electricity, and Afad and Kızılay established some relief areas actually with water and healthcare, etc. And this actually increases reignite the debate about the safe zone, that it may work, that refugees, when they are safe, when they feel safe, they may go back to Jarablus. The second outcome will be the debate, probably a trilateral debate in regards to the future of Münbic. So Turkish position is very clear at this point. Turkish government asked, and US government supported actually the Vice President Biden's last visit. Vice President Biden asked YPG to leave the east of Euphrates. And but there are still some concern, and from the clashes we see that there are actually YPG forces on the east of Euphrates, despite some statements from the US government. So it is not clear what will be the future of Münbic at this point, right? Turkey and FSA forces, if they argue that if there is no YPG forces or SDF forces, whatever you call, FSA forces should enter Münbic, but there is serious concerns. The second one is the relation between YPG and Turkey, of course. There is serious clashes took place, especially when the Turkish forces and FSA forces moved south of the Jarablus, and I think it was 10 miles to Münbic that there was some clashes, and 2 of the tanks of Turkish army was actually attacked by YPG forces in that area. So this is also another problem, and the problem will not end when YPG forces will go to the east of Euphrates, because considering the situation, the clashes between PKK and Turkey right now, and PKK attacks actually to Turkey, we can see that even after YPG passes to east of Euphrates, we will continue to see some serious issues about YPG's presence in northern Syria. Another one is, of course, the morale and power of opposition. Since the beginning of the crisis, FSA constantly suffered from internal problems, but one of the most significant issues was the lack of support for the FSA forces. And each and every time when someone interviews FSA forces wanted the support that YPG or other forces are getting against ISIS. And this short operation actually helped FSA forces to get more morale and more power. And I'm finishing this. And finally, in the fight against ISIS, this is a new front, so it provides a lot of opportunity for international coalition to fight against ISIS. But as I mentioned before, the main debate is about what will happen in El-Bab, right? So El-Bab is 40 kilometers from the Turkish border. So the FSA forces needs definitely air cover at Al Bab in an operation, and Al Bab has been a logistical center of ISIS for a long time now, and it was pretty fortified, especially after the withdrawal of the ISIS forces from Jarablus. So the operation in Al Bab needs a good coordination, a good air cover, and a lot of FSA forces. Thank you very much.